Belum.
Liber lagi loh, Ra.
Ayo, Pak Wijok.
Aku mau bilang, Ra. Kita ngumpul 50.
Iya, Pak.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin our international webinar today, there are some information regarding this webinar. Today's webinar will be divided into two sessions. The first session will be on air right now, and the second session will be on air at 3 p.m. Jakarta time. For those who registers themselves on both sessions, please be aware that after session 1 ends, you have to move into another link so that you can join our second session. So welcome to our international webinar, Revisiting the Teaching and Learning in Higher Education, organized by Management of Education Study Program, Graduate Program of Universitas Kristen Indonesia, and it is hosted by International Office Universitas Kristen Indonesia. We would like to welcome Vice Rector for Academics of Universitas Kristen Indonesia, Dr. Wilson, Rector's Expert Staff of Universitas Kristen Indonesia, Dr. Iyad Veda Sitepu, Director of Graduate Programs of Universitas Kristen Indonesia, Dr. Bintang Simbolon, Director of International Office Universitas Kristen Indonesia, Dr. Lisa Kailola, all honorable speakers from Universitas Kristen Indonesia, and all participants coming from Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, Myanmar, and Japan. There are some rules for this webinar. The first one, there will be attendance list during this webinar. The Google form will be distributed towards chat box in Zoom meeting. The attendance list is needed to fulfill due to the validation of issuing e-certificate. Second, all of the participants are suggested to silence the microphone by pressing the mute button on your devices along the sessions from the speakers and turn on the camera if possible. The third one, if there are some questions along the sessions of the speakers, you are able to write down your questions in the chat box and please introduce your name and institution. We will discuss the questions in the Q&A session. All participants are suggested to be active in Q&A session by raising your hand to ask direct questions, whether in Indonesian or English. If you want to deliver your questions in Indonesia, our moderator will try to help you to translate it into English. Please introduce your name and institution and turn on your camera as well as your microphone. Please turn off your camera if you are doing personal activities along the sessions from the speakers. This international webinar is also live in YouTube of Universitas Kristen Indonesia at official UKI Jakarta. So without further ado, let's listen to opening remarks by Vice Rector for Academics Universitas Kristen Indonesia, Dr. Wilson Rajagukbuk. The time is yours.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the international webinar on revisiting the teaching and learning in higher education held by the graduate program of Universitas Kristen Indonesia. We appreciate very much that you are allocating your valuable time to participate in this international webinar. This international webinar is a response to the COVID-19 pandemic, where online teaching and learning have become more important parts of higher education. However, there are many challenges faced by many regarding online teaching and learning in higher education. Therefore, this international webinar aims to enhance our knowledge and capacity through sharing knowledge, experiences, and lessons learned in online teaching and learning in higher education. We thank the lecturers from Universitas Kristen Indonesia who are with us today to share their experiences with online teaching and learning in higher education. We hope all of us productive discussion. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to open this international webinar on revisiting the teaching and learning in higher education. In the name of Lord Jesus Christ, Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson, for your opening remarks. Before we start our webinar, let us first take a photo session. Okay, so for the participants, please turn on your camera. We will do the photo session right now. Okay. Our technical team will capture the photo starting from 3, 2, 1. Smile. All right, once again. 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you very much for your time. Okay, our today's session will be moderated by Miss Angela Asri Purnamasari. Angela Asri Purnamasari received a bachelor degree in English language education from Sanata Dharma University of Indonesia and a master's degree in Master of Education in Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages or TESOL from the University of Exeter, United Kingdom. Her passion in teaching, learning, and researching in educational fields leads her way to serve education through some projects for Worldwide Society. She teaches as an assistant professor at English Education Department, Universitas Kristen Indonesia. She is interested in teacher continuing professional development, teacher training, language acquisition, language learning and teaching, curriculum and materials development, and language testing and assessment. Now, please welcome our moderator, Ms. Angela Asri Purnamasari.
Thank you very much, Bene, for the time and short introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So this afternoon, I will be the moderator for our first session. And the first speaker for the first session this afternoon will talk about general overview on the daily conducts at the graduate programs of Universitas Kristen Indonesia during COVID-19 pandemic era. So here I would like to introduce you to Dr. Bintang Simbolon. So Dr. Bintang Simbolon has Bachelor of Chemistry from Universitas Kristen Indonesia and Magister of Chemistry from Universitas Kristen Indonesia. University of Indonesia. And Doctor of Environment Education from Universitas Negeri Jakarta. She was born in Bandung, August 20, 1965. And she is a lecturer at Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Kristen Indonesia, and lecturer at graduate program of Universitas Kristen Indonesia. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Bintang Simbolon. to Dr. Bintang Simbolon. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Slide. Thank you so much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this opportunity to us to share the presentation about general overview on the daily conducts at the graduate programs of Universitas Kristen Indonesia during COVID-19 pandemic era. Yes, this is the slide. Thank you. Next. Next slide, please. The graduate programs of UKI is now 2 years in running. Unfortunately, since March 2020, COVID-19 pandemic emerged. About 7 months now we have already deserved. Many difficulties rise, yeah? This situation forces the management team of the graduate programs of UKI to work harder in ensuring that the whole activities can be running as expected in accordance to the authorized missions and targets. Activity rhythms must always be periodically reviewed and restructured. There are many difficult things, but behind those difficulties, there are also much positive things that, if handled properly, will potentially bring good things for the future. This general overview is meant to capture the impacted areas of the graduate programs of UKI that have disrupted the ways of doing things. Essentially, the daily conducts together with the perspective on the negative and positive outcomes. Next slide, please. Okay, we discuss about areas of overview. We have 3 dharma or dedications of higher education. First, teaching activities. Second, research activities. Third, public responsibility. Next slide, please. No, the first? Okay. When we talk about teaching activities, there are 6 we want to talk. First, indirect or online learning. Second, readiness of the lecturers. Third, learning costs and consequences. Fourth, direct supervisory. Fifth, class attendance. And 6, advantages in distant learning. Next slide, please. When we talk about indirect or online learning, the entire teaching activities are facing difficulties in performing complete direct learning, which has been in place since the start of it all. Difficulties to do non-face-to-face learning. The traditional, we use face-to-face learning. There are physical gestures, direct explanation, instant question and answer, emphasization through emotion, accentuation, and tone. There are young, we come to face-and-face learning. But until now, we must use distant learning culture, not our usual culture. Even though for UKI, 67 years, Dies Natalis also have face-to-face learning. But now we must turn to distant learning culture. Okay, online learning, the only solution for now, are still able to perform by way of learning execution. But not all students are ready to receive the distance or online teaching when March or April. Lack of necessary things in direct learning. There must be acquaintance between lecturer and students. Students need to grab the ways of thinking and way of approaches of their lectures. And for graduate level, need more capabilities, not just defining something, but also analyzing deeper, exploration of many practices in the field, and combining many study and knowledge. Slide, please. The second is the readiness of the lecturer, shifting the habit of direct teaching into non-direct teaching. On the other thing, the lecturers are not yet instantly able either to perform distance teaching. Technology does provide the face-to-face discussion with applications such as Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, etc. Available technology still not accommodate complete ways of habitual teaching. The art of giving materials in accordance to the way of explanations found during years of teaching, providing usual supporting instruments to explain something. Especially when some of the lecturers have already for so many years found special art in explaining some learning matters, including provided teaching instruments that are usually best explained by direct learning. Direct learning is more easier maybe, yeah? Okay, the third, next slide please. Cost consequence. To attempt to execute good learning nowadays using online tools, the availability of technology capacity requires money. Problems which may come from buying, providing internet quota for a gadget like HP or laptop, and an extra effort for refilling, for bandwidth and data, and especially the quality of signal and network. And besides this, instability of electricity can affect the quality of teaching or learning conducts. Okay, there are cost consequences. The number 4 slide, please. Lecturer supervisory. A lecturer's direct supervisory is very necessary. Any kind of strengthening the wider view of the students, like to make paper or writing paper, thesis built up, it must be communicated between students and lecturer. Such or thesis, papers, any kinds of strengthening and widening the scope of thinking of students and special skill enrichment. This is a must rather than everything performed online through screen. The data shows a tendency of lower promotion or graduation at the last semester, with one of the programs shows the decrease of 50%. Next slide, please. Attending classes, but blessing in disguise. This pandemic era reduces the difficulties of attending class, especially for those who live far from campus or coming to the class from many condensed traffic. We are not prepared so much. Lecturers, students, takes only a little time, maybe from home we can preparation. Many of students usually lives, works in busy daily life activities, especially at the afternoon, where students attend the graduate classes. And then, Jakarta is very big city and congested at many areas during afternoons, and the congested areas can happen many times unexpectedly wherever. This inevitably reduces the promptness to attend the class. While we know the attendance of the class to follow lecturers' teaching are really meaningful minute per minute. But now, by online class, these difficulties are most reduced. This is the blessing by disguise. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, the sixth, maybe the last for the first areas of our dedication. Easy of quick info or knowledge propagation. Other positive things during this pandemic era. Learning arrangement. Through this difficult condition, thankful the management has also been able to perform effective coordination and teamwork with the help of available technology. Like the coordination and team working with the management is now 10 easier. For example, last week we had a professor from Taiwan strengthen the students, lecturers, and alumni from the graduate programs of UKI through his talk. Many of us see the big benefits coming from this kind of strengthening. Additional knowledge sharing webinars, which include many experts from many places, can be far away is much easier. Formally, this kind of activities need much more preparation. Efforts, for instance, now we will have the webinar of 3 speakers from Malaysia, Thailand, and Philippines. It must be easier. not to spend money for traveling, to see the hotel, and another things, only by laptop only. We can share the knowledge from another country, share information. Okay, this is for the first. Next slide, please. For research activities, two major difficulties. First, lack of access to library. Second, research data. Slide, please. Okay, when we talk about lack of access to library, even though from laptop or gadgets many sources now can be done, but from all activities, one of the biggest difficulties is the lack of access to the library. Of course, some source can still be obtained through online media, but this still falls short on the experience compared to when we are in the library. In the library, various books and literature are available, and we may choose that we need. We can then easily find cross-searching book between book and many books. We can also put index and open more than one book at a time and easily search pages from book to books. Moreover, it is very easy to open and compare the context of certain books from newest edition to the previous, some edition in the back and the old edition, to see what has been changed over the years. This is not in case of HP. We must only one screen compared to the many books that we have already read. This can be done easily on the laptop or gadgets. The book might be opened easily. Second slide, please.
5 more minutes, ma'am.
Yes, slide, please. Okay, for the research data. Difficulty in having the primary data. In the object analysis, our human primary data can still be done by sending questionnaires to some people through online approaching. But a little troubles will come when we have to observe non-human objects to get primary data. For context to the objects are blocked by situation nowadays. Not easy to go to any points of observation for this moment. Yeah, but another blessing by disguise, it is easier to get secondary data. Many companies nowadays are in competition to pour their data into social media, making more chances to get any needed data. Slide, please. Public responsibility. There are 3: direct contact, extra repetition, and cost reduction. Next slide, please. Usually, contribution to public is proven to be well done when direct contacts are provided. We can imagine how difficult it is to give a chance of public life quality without direct contact. Okay, this need, of course, physical meet to enable people directly supervise and equip. Troubles nowadays by doing this without direct contact or only by Zoom. Next slide, please. Extra repetition. One solution to reach goals of public responsibility mission is to do the repetitive. We know that through distant approach technology, one approach is not enough. We must do and again. Ideally, to reach the maximum beneficial result, public must see actions through repetition online efforts. This possibility of post-communication must also be open. Next slide, please. Cost reduction. Physical visit to the communities, especially remote area, are being put on hold. There is no, we can go to there. This, of course, reduces cost as needed formerly, the same visit, preparation, transportation, going and back, accommodation, and efforts. Okay, that's all, and conclusion this. Next slide, please. Okay, in whatever, either students or lecturers must enhance their ability to work with the latest available technology. Even for some experience, these month's difficulties appeared, some positive things also appeared. And through all implementation so far, there is a hidden side that maybe in the future we may develop a special learning classes which will be performed by online. Next slide. Library must enhance a good communication with the students or lecturers about the need of students and lecturers, so that if even the attendance physically is limited, but the possibility of providing data is expanded. For the public responsibility, both university and the community must seek good solutions in terms of the successful public responsibility mission. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bintang, for a very clear share information and also knowledge related to the daily conducts at the graduate programs of Universitas Kristen Indonesia. We will have question and answer session after our second speaker this afternoon. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome our second speaker for this afternoon. Dr. Hotner Tampu-Bolon. And before that, I would like to introduce Dr. Hotner Tampu-Bolon. This afternoon, Dr. Hotner Tampu-Bolon would like to share to us about higher education leadership in Indonesia. And he was born in North Sumatra, and then his education, Sarjana Ekonomi Perusahaan in 82, and then the Magister of Management in 95, and Doctor program in 2006. And now he is an associate professor since 2008. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Dr. Hotner. To Dr. Hotner Tampu-Bolon, the time is yours. Hello, Dr. Hotner. Hello, sir.
I'm sorry.
Okay, yes. Okay, please,
thank you
the time is yours now.
Thank you for Miss Angelina Asri
Okay, thank you.
Purnamasari. Yeah.
Okay,
Dear
please,
my
sir.
honored Mr. Raja Guguk as a Vice Rector Universitas Kristen Indonesia, and all participants in the seminar of international just now. I feel honored because, and I am very happy to able to be contribute in the seminar international webinar. And also thank you for all the speakers from Philippines, Thailand, and Malaysia, include from Universitas Kristen Indonesia, for our collaboration. And I hope that this can we do like this in the other time. According to order by steering committee from the webinar, I will talking about leadership in higher education. So I give the title my presentation, Higher Education Leadership in Indonesia as a lecturer review. Okay, just now I would like to start my presentation. Slide. According to in-law number 10 of year 2003 about the national education system, that Indonesian higher education institution is divided as follows: academic, polytechnic, institute, and university. Academic just only offer vocational education or particularly applied science and technology or art. And Polytechnic conducts vocational education in applied science and technology. Institute and university comprise of the faculty to conduct vocational technical education and academic education, especially institute special their course within discipline, just only special discipline, and university rarely more than large faculty and from the various discipline. Next. So what are the importance of higher education in Indonesia? Higher education institutions assure the relevance of the knowledge with all of the needed of the market for developed economy, and identify skill gap, create special program, and build the right skill that can be help nation to improve economic prosperity and social cohesion. So the post-war development of the economy and changing demand for the new skill develop relevant. Next. Meanwhile, medium-term development plan, we call it RJPMN, under the Ministry of Education and Culture, covering 2015 and 2019, here's mean, yeah, higher education institution as follow: improve availability of education services and improve affordability of the education services, improve the quality and relevance of education services, improve quality and obtaining education services, improve assurance guarantee of obtaining education services, increasing capability of the master science and technology. All of them, 1 until 6, will be directed achieving economic competitiveness with the basic of natural resources and the quality of human resources. So the government needs, and government like to regulate how the higher education have the criteria how to help the employment, the best result for the national competitiveness. Next. As you know, the challenges of the higher education just now in Indonesia, that is the according to the literature when I review, enrollment, equity and capacity, admission in public university, financing, especially financing that Mr. Bintang, the first presentation, she has to say it like this. And then cross-border education. This is the specific problem in Indonesia. In my full favor, I write it with the explanation. And under unemployment, this is the special context in Indonesia. Next. So we are talking unemployment. Just now in Indonesia, the rise of number of education unemployment caused by several factors. For one, an education policy is not oriented with the market needed. So different about knowledge in the campus, knowledge in the higher education, and the PEC. And particularly investment that is not capable to produce the occupation for this type of the unemployment. And investment policy tends to capital intensive rather than labor intensive. That is the Indonesian problem, especially just on Indonesian, I think. I don't know exactly in Philippines and in Thailand. Yeah. Next. So the goal of higher education institution, the ultimate goal of higher education is to produce the graduate who will be effective leader in their choosing profession. Member of and citizen in the world. Create student how to be the best one, not only the best one in the study, but the best one in the practice. Next. Next. So, how to arrange it? We are important the leadership in the institution. For what? The leadership. The first, to motivating employer. Better utilization of human resources. Creating confidence. Promoting the spirit of coordination. Build morale. Directed group activity. Develop good human relation. Help to fulfill social responsibility, especially the number 8 helps to fulfill social responsibility. It is about the salary. Yeah, the leader of the institution must be able to give some, maybe that is relative, maybe to give the salary, but the salary must be able to fulfill social responsibility. Next. So the definition of the leadership, it is leader motivates. So a leader is the dealer of hope. The dealer in hope. Leader make decision. Leader is doing the right. Leader are confidence. Leader influence. Leader innovate. Leader get result. Leader coach. Leadership consists to showing every pupil how to do the work of superior pupil. So the leader, how to organize, how to harmonize all of the resources in the institution to build up, to get the mission and vision. Next. So we need the higher effective leader. An effective leader passes the following characteristic: self-confidence. So a better leader must be confident with the herself and with the institution. It's the same together. If some, I mean to say, if everybody as a leader, self-confidence, it is mean that the institution too must be self-confidence. Strong communication and management skill. This is the critical point for the leader. How to communication our institution to the other institution. We must have collaborate with the other institution. We can reach something without collaboration. And creative and innovative thinking. I don't know exactly we can say and see so many higher education in Indonesia. It is not so bright, I think. Yeah. Perseverance in the pace of failure. As a leader, must be believe and self-confidence to pace of the failure. Willingness to take risks. Openness to change. Level-headedness and reactiveness in the time of crisis. We must have management crisis, especially for this. Because just now, when we are faced to pandemic COVID, I think all of them, leader of institution, must do something. Not only to make it, yes, just now we have education face-to-face, and now we are only by virtual. I think this is the what to call sementara. This is the not so good idea, I think. But in the situation, it is never mind in this situation. But leader must be see that pandemic COVID, this is the, I mean to say, problem. But we can opportunity in this moment. Don't we be weakness to see the pandemic, but we must do something. How to take the opportunity in this situation? Okay, right? So I know so many leaders know how to split the time, but I see split the time, it is not by program. So in this point, the leader must be a table how the leaders spend their time with a program. How much of your time do you spend with subordinate? I don't know. It is not for Miss Bintang. Bintang Simbolon. No, this is the generally, yeah. How much of your time do you spend with the superior? How much of your time do you spend with the others? Like to looking opportunity, external information, coordination with the other institution, and all of. And the table and the span of time, it is not must be with the table time. not by as usually. So a very subordinate know when my boss come to me, when I would like go to my subordinate, all of the leader must be have a time. So according this time, we can do something with coordination, not partial. And then we must have a holistic program. That is the university, the best university. Right? The last, my presentation, I say thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak Hotner, for a very clear description about the importance of leadership of higher education. Okay, it's very interesting that there are many educated unemployment. Yeah, so we can have more discussion on this later on, or if you have some questions, you can ask questions to Dr. Hotner also. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are entering the question and answer session. In the first session, we have heard very clear also explanation and sharing information and knowledge from Dr. Bintang, talking about some challenges and also some advantages and disadvantages of doing online learning in Magister of Universitas Kristen Indonesia. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have some questions, you want to ask question related to Dr. Bintang's topic, you can write down your question on the chat box, or you can raise your hand and I will let you to ask your direct question if you want to ask it. And then if you want to ask Dr. Hotner about the importance of leadership in higher education, so you can just also write down your question on the chat box, or you can raise your hand and I will let you to deliver your direct question also. Oke, Bapak Ibu sekalian, sore hari ini kita sudah mendengarkan penjelasan yang sangat luar biasa dan menarik dari dua pembicara kita. Kita ada question and answer session sore hari ini. Tadi di sesinya Dr. Bintang Simbolon, kita sudah mendengarkan bagaimana daily conduct ya untuk graduate programs di Universitas Indonesia yang saat ini dilaksanakan secara online. Tadi kita juga sudah mendengarkan ada tantangan apa yang dihadapi maupun keuntungan yang didapatkan dengan melakukan kuliah secara daring atau online. Jadi jika ada pertanyaan, silahkan menulis pertanyaannya, boleh dalam bahasa Indonesia. Nanti juga akan dijawab oleh pembicara dalam bahasa Indonesia. Nanti saya bisa translate ke dalam bahasa Inggris untuk memfasilitasi para peserta kita yang dari luar negeri. Nah, baik, so far saya lihat dulu pertanyaan, kalau sudah ada pertanyaan. Oke, ya sepertinya belum ada yang masuk ya pertanyaan di chat box. Oke, maupun yang raise hands participants juga belum ada. Jadi jika sudah ada pertanyaan silahkan segera memberikan pertanyaan. Oke, to Dr. Bintang. So Dr. Bintang, you have talked a very clear information about some of the challenges and also advantages and disadvantages that you face or graduate level students and lecturers face in magister program of UKI. As we know that in magister program, students do their research, yeah, and they need to find very big and then up-to-date and many information and data for their research. So in this online learning system in graduate program, what will be the main strength of the graduate programs of UKI to facilitate the students to have this kind of difficulties to find the data and also to have the discussion with the supervisors for their research and so on. Okay, maybe Dr. Bintang can explain about that.
Yes.
Jadi Ibu Bintang, yeah, you can answer in English and also Indonesia, it's okay. So I can translate for you if you need.
Okay, students can come to the lecture and they have a discussion by technology like Zoom or Teams, and then to make a conversation. And if the students have the difficulties, maybe the lecturer can help them. This is the first. The second, maybe the student can read the books by ebook because there is no library, yeah. So the student can come to the journal or to read the books by ebook and then make the solution. There is maybe another discussion again.
Okay, so the lecturers also like facilitate the students with the ebooks for the references, yeah?
Yeah, and journal.
And journal, okay,
Yes.
yeah. So how about the library, online library in the university? Do you think the students can get advantages also from the online library?
Because in Diponegoro, there is no library. They have already stopped because renovation.
Okay.
Yeah, renovation in library in Diponegoro. So the student cannot come. So maybe next month will be open and the library maybe produce some journal by online. Okay.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so for
Thank you.
students for all over the world and
Yes.
especially in Indonesia, if the students want to like join the master program of UKI, of Universitas Indonesia, so right now the study is done online or virtual like this, and there are also many facilities that the lecturers and also the university give to the students, yeah, so
By
they
online.
can update. Yeah, by online, so they can update their knowledge easily.
That's right.
And they can also, yeah, they can also have the supervision activities with the supervisor easily too.
Yes.
Because even though they have different places, they can easily manage their time together with the supervisors.
By communicating by
good,
technology.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Communicating with technology. Thank you so much, Dr. Bintang. Okay, so now let's see also. Okay, so there is a question, Dr. Bintang, from Eko Widiarto. Okay, so to Dr. Bintang, how is the delivery of coursework done online? So maybe it's like a similar questions that we have discussed, but maybe you can add more information to give more information for Eko Widiarto's question.
Pardon?
There is a question in the chat box. Yes. How is the delivery of coursework done online?
It depends on the situation, yeah.
Yes. So, Dr. Bintang?
It depends on the situation.
Okay, so depend on the situation. So how the coursework done? Maybe for some subjects.
Maybe for one SKS will be 45 minutes. Or another.
Okay, oh, maybe I will like clarify this question. Maybe Eko Widiarto's question is related to the tools that you use for the coursework, for the online coursework, maybe for the face-to-face meeting course with the students. What are the, the tools for the students usually use in Magister program of UKI? Maybe like that.
Maybe for I don't know about the situation.
The question, yes.
The question about what?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. How is the delivery? So the question Jadi bagaimana biasanya pelaksanaan program belajarnya secara online menggunakan bagaimana? Jadi mungkin menggunakan tools apa? Mungkin dengan Zoom atau apa?
Dengan
bagaimana?
Zoom, dengan
Yes.
Teams, Zoom,
Ya.
with Teams or Zoom, we can discuss from lecturers and students, many students and lecturers on many activities in the afternoon.
Yeah, so Pak Eko Widiarto, so in Magister Program of UKI, the lecturers use many tools like Zoom, Teams, which is really supported by UKI using the Teams, and also it is very effective right now.
Yes.
Effective ya, Mem?
Effective,
dengan
effective.
online seperti ini.
Very effective.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, now, thank you, Dr. Bintang.
Thank you.
Now we go to Dr. Hotner. This is a very interesting topic, Dr. Hotner, higher education leadership in Indonesia. What do you think? Do you think Indonesia right now have produced many leaders in this era? And then we can also think right now Indonesia is very critical with some demonstration like now. Maybe you can have more explanation about that. You know, because many of the demonstrators are students of the university or higher education level students. So maybe you can, it relates to the topic this afternoon, like higher education roles in producing many leaders for Indonesia. Maybe you can share about that.
Okay, right. If you talk about the leadership, I said so many leadership, so many, but I don't know how many. But the qualified leadership to do the function of the higher education, I think not so, especially for the private higher education. If you see the non-private, like state university, that is, they are have the ranking of the title. How to get to be leadership, it is done so much. They must be by the pew or the stake of the leader to be the best in the top of leadership higher education. But in the private higher education, it is not so, I mean to say, not so by formal. It is depend of the relationship. So, but it is not for UKI, it is not for Universitas Kristen Indonesia. It is the generally of education leadership. We can see at the, for example, Jayabaya, apa dan lain sebagainya itu. It is the generally, If you want to get the top leadership in the higher education, it is by relation. So, the leadership must be, as I mean to say, must be, what the mean teladan? You know teladan in Indonesia, English? Must be able.
Maybe just,
What? Teladan.
Example?
For example, and all of the institution higher education must be to create the atmosphere academic. I don't know exactly so many higher education. It is not have an academic atmosphere. So the leader need to do it. Otherwise, the employee educated number or number of employee educated, it is not done. They
Okay,
can do nothing under
Mhm.
pass from the study.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak. Dr. Hortner, for a very clear explanation about that. Okay, we see on the chat box there is a question also from here. Okay, from King Fung Boon, yeah. If in this pandemic pass, will UKI open magister program through online or on-site only? So yeah, sudah dijawab ya. Have been answered by Dr. Bintang di sini, ya. So okay, so there are also some questions here. From Mingus. Okay, for Mr. Kim, yeah. Dr. Bintang said, hopefully MPD get an A accreditation, so can make online study. So wherever you are, you can take the master program, education master program in UKI, yeah. But now we have students in UKI, but because of the pandemic, the study is online, yeah. Okay, and then now Pak Hotner, maybe this is a question. Oh, untuk semua narsum ya. Bagaimana membangun kecerdasan atau kepemimpinan yang spiritual naradidik dalam konteks pembelajaran daring? Okay, so maybe it can be from both of the speakers. Maybe Pak Hotner can try to answer this part first. Bagaimana membangun kecerdasan dan kepemimpinan yang spiritual naradidik
Yes.
dalam konteks pembelajaran daring ya.
Oh, by chatting ya?
Yes, okay. Okay, yes, ladies and gentlemen, and especially for Pak Minggu's question from Surabaya, from this chat, from the questions in this chat, maybe can be answered directly by the speakers in these chats also, ya, because we have limited time. Jadi untuk para pembicara, untuk pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang ada di chat, mungkin bisa langsung dijawab ya, Bapak Ibu, untuk Dr. Bintang dan Dr. Hotner. And now we will directly go to our next session for our two more speakers. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. In this first session, we thank Dr. Bintang and also Dr. Hotner for the explanation and for the question and answer session. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to the third speaker for this afternoon. And then our third speaker this afternoon will talk about virtual network learning, yeah. And then the third speaker this afternoon is Dr. Dameria Sinaga from postgraduate program Universitas Kristen Indonesia, and she is a dosen di ilmu penyakit kulit dan kelamin sejak 93, dosen tetap Fakultas Kedokteran UKI pada bagian penyakit kulit dan kelamin pada tahun 94, dan koordinator satu penyakit kulit dan kelamin mulai pada 2002 sampai 2004, dan sekarang menjadi dokter penyakit kulit dan kelamin, dosen penyakit kulit dan kelamin pada Fakultas Kedokteran UKI dengan pangkat Associate Professor. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now please welcome Dr. Dameria Sinaga. To Dr. Dameria Sinaga, the time is yours.
Thank you for the opportunity given to me, the present. Slide, please. Virtual network learning. Next slide. Introduction. Continuous technological development in the working world not only requires university graduate to have extensive knowledge, but also have professional skills that are ready to be used in the job field. This fact as consequences, the higher education institution need to continuously improve the quality of graduate in order to have the desired competence. UNESCO in this context state the competencies that higher education graduate to need to have are one, adequate knowledge to know, two, skill in carrying out tasks professionally to do, three, ability to perform in the field of science or profession to be, and four, ability to use scientific field for common interest ethically to live together. Next. To be able to produce graduates with these competencies, universities, in this case, the Christian Universities of Indonesia, especially the postgraduate program, need to make continuous improvement to their learning facilities. One form of learning facilities that can contribute to the quality of students' abilities and skill is the ability and use of learning media and technology. Next. The ability and use of media and learning technology at UKI Jakarta is very important in order to improve the quality of student abilities and skill. In the end, it can make a positive contribution to improvement the quality of graduate competencies so that they can play a scientific role both in the academic field and in the world of work in the future. In the learning activity, the media can be defined as something that can bring information and knowledge in the interaction that takes place between lecturers and students. In other words, the learning media acts as a mediator in the learning carried out by lecturers and students. Hennig, Molenda, and Ras state one of media classification that can be used in learning activities. Next. Learning. Learning is a process of student interaction with educator and learning resources in learning environment. Learning is an aid provided by educator, so the process of knowledge can be acquired, mastery of skills and character, and the formation of attitude and trust in students. In other words, learning is a process to help students in order to learn well. Next. Cyberspace. Cyberspace or cyber network is a world of computer-based communication that offers a new virtual reality in virtual form or indirect or unreal. Other than virtually, we are able to feel as if being in place and doing things that is done for real. Next. Advantage of learning in cyberspace. One, for educators. Increase knowledge. Sharing resources among peers or department. Collaborate with educators from abroad. Opportunity to publish or announce it directly. Regularly managing communication. Participate in forum with colleagues, both local and international. Two, for students. Increase knowledge, learn to interact, development skill in the field of research. Improve communication with other students and increasing sensitivity to problems that exist around the world. Next. Limitation of learning in cyberspace. lack of human resources, lack of technology transformation processes, lack of telecommunication infrastructure, inadequate legal instruments. Next. Reason for change. The high intensity of change in the work of telecommunication, information, and communication has required fundamental change in the implementation of learning in higher education. The current learning process is not only fixed on conventional strategies and models, but has led to a blended learning system, which combine conventional learning patterns with learning system that utilize the virtual world. According to Patton et al., the use of media and learning technology in higher education can contribute to student knowledge, a skill. It can also help teaching staff in university to simplify the learning process, clarify learning material with a variety of concept examples, facilitated interaction with students, provide practical opportunity to students, and provide
5 more minutes, ma'am.
to approach from of media and learning technology. Next, the relationship between change and the quality of learning in cyberspace. Change of occur the work of learning in university, especially in Christian University of Indonesia, which try to use the internet as a medium and learning resource, have placed educational technology as an important element as a discipline that aims to design a learning system. AACT, educational technology, is the study and ethical practice of facilitating learning and informing performance by creating, using, and managing appropriate technological process and resources. As the concept definition of educational technology as described, it is clear that educational technology to cut impediments design that aims to make it easier for people to learn so that in the end it could improve performance and facilitate learning that not only at student but also lecturers as the manager in the classroom. Next. Supporting factors for change can be used access to the library, can be used as access to experts, can carry out online lectures activities, can provide academic information service for an educational institution, can facilitate data thread engine, can facilitate discussion, can facilitate alumni and school director, can provide teamwork facilities and other. Next. Can inhibiting factors. The main often the hinders the learning process in using the internet is the weakness of human resources. Managers who operator and maintain network support facilities or infrastructure. Lecturers still lack the ability to use the internet and learning resources. It requires a lot and expensive cost for the provider of internet facilities and infrastructure with large bandwidth access, especially distant lecture or teleconference. Next, how to overcome barriers to change. Providing and training professionals to serve as operator of internet as learning program. Provide special maintenance personnel to maintain computer multimedia device that are used as a learning tool. It is necessary to provide a specific study room specifically for conducting live distance learning. providing specific and continuous training for lecturers to use the internet as multimedia learning, provide special training for lecturers to be able to design internet assisted learning. Next. Conclusion, virtual learning is a system that provides and often access teaching and learning beyond to physical boundaries of conventional classroom and the use of web-based computer network support by internet network that are very suitable to use, especially in current condition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dameria. Very clear explanation related to the virtual networking. Jadi Bapak Ibu sekalian, kalau ada pertanyaan untuk Dr. Dameria bisa langsung menuliskan pertanyaan di chat box. Jadi menarik sekali sore hari ini Dr. Dameria menjelaskan bagaimana virtual network itu support kita ya dalam belajar di dunia maya saat ini yang sangat cocok untuk pandemic situation saat ini. Jadi tadi sudah dijelaskan bagaimana belajar dunia maya maupun challenges ya, tantangannya dan juga overcome solutions, bagaimana menyelesaikan masalah tersebut. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Dameria. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will go to the next speaker for this afternoon. And after the second speaker, we are going to have question and answer session. So you can start to write down your questions in the chat box. Now, I would like to introduce our speaker for this afternoon. Yeah, our speaker will talk about analysis of leader decision-taking style, a case study of the 4 Minister of Education of the Republic Indonesia. So this is very interesting topic. So you can ask many questions after this in the chat box. And then I would like to introduce you to Dr. Witarsa Tambunan. So Dr. Witarsa Tambunan is a lecturer in Magister Program of Universitas Indonesia, the head of journal redaction of Magister Program of UKI, and the before work as the Dean of Visipol of UKI. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Dr. Andes Witarsa Tambunan, MSc. To Dr. Witarsa, the time is yours.
Thank you. Okay, ada.
Okay, please, Doctor.
Okay, thank you very much. And with our limited time to 20 minutes, I'll try my best to present with English. Good afternoon, all. Right now is my turn to present and analyze of leader decision-taking style, case study of the 4 Minister of Education of the Republic of Indonesia. Let's remind again, what is leadership? Next slide, please. What we have to remember, leadership is a process. It contains directing activity and influence activity to achieve certain goal. The process is giving the leadership to have its own style to rule, but no guarantee that you can be a good leader. Remember, leaders are expected to choose the best option, and that is not easy because there are always two consequences, positive and negative. Next slide, please. As you can see, this is the figure of basic decision-making style. By Robin and DiCencio, we call it the 4 quadrant in basic leadership. This table serves as the big idea of making a decision that is bounded by dimension. For example, our way of thinking, they consisting of logical and rational, or how we process information. We need to structure this information so that it can process multiple thoughts at the same time. What is the key to differentiating between these four styles? Next slide. In this slide, I make some simplifying where you can grab the main idea of every style. One, directive is efficient. Two, analytic is careful. Three, conceptual needs to creative. Four, behavior has always listened to people concern or need and tries to avoid conflicts. Just a little bit to understand this power type doesn't mean has the power to judge the leader work bad or good. Next slide, please. Now, let's start our case study by applying the four types of leadership to our Minister of Education and Art and Culture. Next slide. Nadiem is the current Minister of Education and Culture of Indonesia in the Advanced Indonesia Cabinet. There are 5 policies that he done to answer our needs. One, West Band 2020 or National Standard Examination 2020 is cancelled, including the skill competency test 2020 for vocational high school. 2, study process from home using line learning to provide learning experience. 3, school exam and class promotion are carried out without gathering students. 4, for the acceptance of new students, school are asked to follow the health protocol to prevent COVID-19. 5, school operational assistance fund can be used to pay for school needs in preventing the COVID-19 pandemic. So, in conclusion, Nadiem is using the behavioral leadership style. Next, please. Different from Nadiem, Muhajir is the previous minister, chose the analytical. There are 5 policies that he made that show us that the way he was thinking is very analytical are 1, full day school, 2, 5 days of school a week, 3, Smart Indonesia Card program, 4, revitalization of vocational high school SMK, and 5, the policy on the school zoning system. In making decision, Mr. Muhajir was qualified with having his rational thinking. He was prudent in making decision and was able to adjust himself to the complex situation and completed much information. Next slide. Next. Before Muhajir, Ani served as our Minister in Education and Culture for 2 years. He had several policies using the conceptual style. 1, delaying the implementation of the 2013 curriculum and returning into the 2000 or 2006 curriculum. 2, changing the national examination not as the measure of graduation, but only as a mapping of equal distribution of the quality the regional education. 3, created a teacher competency test and teacher certification program that became the standard license. 4, removing the school-oriented period. They used to be the mass event of bullying. 5, he tried to make school as a fun place for student and teacher by conducting movement campaigns such as A, movement honoring teacher, B, reading movement 15 minutes before starting lesson for encouraging reading interest. Next. Delivering children, oh, sorry, come back. Sorry. C, delivering children on the first day of school for parents of students. This is intended to increase the emotional bond. Conceptual style, decision maker connected to the future and achievement and reward, recognition and independence. And our last minister of Education and Culture, Vipo Anis, is on. The next slide, please. Okay, slide next. Muhammad Nuh had the didactic style and decision making. He introduced the 2013 curriculum. He made for policy regarding early childhood education, and he provided a new formula for assessing student graduation. He was really efficient. He makes decisions quickly, and even those they were short-term oriented. Next slide, please. Next. Conclusion. A person's leadership can be measured from his decision-making style by looking at the policy issues set by the leader. And thank you very much for listening attentively. All. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Dr. Witarsa. Very nice topic for this afternoon, yeah. Talking about the leader, how the style of education ministers of Indonesia, the four ministers of Indonesia, very interesting. And then Bapak Ibu sekalian, sangat menarik sekali topik dari Dr. Witarsa saat ini, menjelaskan style kepemimpinan ya, decision taking dari 4 Menteri Pendidikan di Indonesia. So ladies and gentlemen, if you want to ask questions, you can just directly write down your question in the chat box. Baik Bapak Ibu para pembicara sore hari ini, terutama untuk sesi kedua, mari saya akan melihat beberapa pertanyaan yang sudah masuk ke dalam chat box kita. Okay, so here Dr. Witarsa first ya, karena saya baru buka dari paling bawah ini. So very interesting, Dr. Witarsa. So, in your opinion, this is a question from Ahmad Bukhari from UPI, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. So, to Dr. Witarsa, whose leadership style is more effective in your opinion? From the 4 ministers of education in Indonesia. Please, Dr. Witarsa. Halo, Dokter?
Okay.
Dr. Witarsa?
Oke, Miss Angela.
Ya.
Karena yang bertanya dari Indonesia, saya pikir
Ya.
ditranslate saja supaya nanti jelas
Iya,
jawaban
boleh.
saya.
Iya. Baik. Jadi menurut Bapak, dari keempat menteri yang sudah memimpin di Kementerian Pendidikan Indonesia, style kepemimpinan yang mana yang paling efektif, Pak? Begitu. Silakan, Pak.
Oke, baik. Terima kasih. Saya langsung dapat pertanyaan. Terima kasih, Mbak Angela.
Ya.
Bahwa di dalam penelitian saya, ya, itu sebenarnya tidak ada mengarahkan mana yang paling baik atau mana yang paling efektif. Itu dapat dilihat di dalam konklusi tadi, kesimpulan itu tidak berkorelasi, ya, apakah dia berada di kuadran direktif, otoriter, atau apakah dia di konseptual, ataukah dia berada di kuadran analitik, apakah dia di kuadran behavioral. Itu adalah sulit karena tidak ada jaminan, tidak ada garansi kalau ada di otoriter atau direktif itu tidak baik. Tergantung apa yang diputuskannya. Maka dia perlu kita nilai atau kita analyze gaya kepemimpinan dia dalam decision making. Saya kira itu jawaban saya. Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih ya. Sangat jelas sekali Pak Eko. So, ladies and gentlemen, related to Pak Eko's questions, yeah. So, which one is the most effective? Yeah. So, in the explanation of Dr. Witarsa, in his research, there is no which one is the best or which one is the worst or something. No, because it is not comparing. Yeah. So it is just analyzing the way of leadership. Okay, thank you. Terima kasih, Dr. Witarsa. Okay, now we go to the next question. Okay, so the question to Dr. Dameria from Novitasari Tanuwijaya. Tidak ada menyebutkan dari institusi mana ya. Oke, mungkin nanti bisa menuliskan di chat box dari institusi mana. Thank you Dr. Dameria for the sharing, interesting material. Okay, can you help me to explain more about what is the meaning of statement inadequate legal instrument in the limitation of learning in cyberspace? Maybe Dr. Dameria bisa menjelaskan bagian ini. Apa yang dimaksud inadequate legal instrument, the limitation of learning in cyberspace, gitu.
Ya,
silakan Dr. Dameria.
Terima kasih.
Ya.
Itu menjelaskan bahwa tidak ada aturan hukumnya. Jadi kalau kita menggunakan atau sesuatu yang menyalahi aturan tidak ditentukan undang-undang. Jadi apakah itu masuk pidana atau perdata. Jadi belum jelas ada undang-undangnya mengenai pembelajaran jaringan maya. Tidak diatur. Jadi belum kuat pelanggarannya.
Oke, so sekian Ibu?
Ya, udah cukup.
Oke, baik. Terima kasih Dr. Dameria. So Ibu Novita, so to Novitasari Tanuwijaya. So I think that's very clear that for the cyberspace learning, it's not there is not yet the legal instrument, the rules, the legal rules for doing the cyberspace in Indonesia especially ya. Jadi nanti mungkin seiring berkembangnya waktu, mungkin pemerintah akan mulai ya Bu untuk memikirkan legal instrument for this cyberspace learning ya. Baik, terima kasih Ibu Dameria, terima kasih Novitasari untuk pertanyaannya for the question. Okay, there is also a question from Minggus from Surabaya to Dr. Dameria too. Information technology must be recognized as having an impact on easy interaction, including in educational matters. However, the obstacle is not only a technical matter, but also a matter of cultural differences between digital natives and digital immigrants. Please advise to solve problem with digital immigrants. Okay, so Dr. Dameria, there is a question from Minggus from Surabaya. questionnya ada di chat box. Bagaimana Ibu, bisa langsung ditanggapi atau perlu bagaimana?
Ditranslate aja, Mbak. Ditranslate ke bahasa Indonesia.
Okay. So, information technology banyak impact-nya dalam untuk membantu kita mendapatkan interaksi yang mudah, termasuk dalam hal-hal yang berhubungan dengan pendidikan. Nah, tetapi ada beberapa tantangan, tidak hanya dalam technical matter, masalah teknisnya ya, tantangan untuk melaksanakan pembelajaran di dunia maya mungkin ya, tetapi permasalahan dari perbedaan culture antara digital natives dan digital immigrants. Nah, jadi digital natives itu ya orang-orang yang mungkin Ibu bisa menjelaskan lebih rinci ya, digital natives dan digital immigrants. Jadi di sini pertanyaan dari Bapak Minggus from Surabaya, bagaimana, any advice ya, masukan-masukan untuk solve the problem, untuk membantu pemecahan masalah bagi para digital immigrants ini, gitu Bu.
Digital imigran itu maksudnya apa sih? Penduduk?
Kalau iya, digital natives itu artinya yang sudah fasih ya Bu dalam digital, dalam penggunaan media dan dunia digital lainnya, sedangkan digital immigrants itu seperti kita mungkin ya Bu yang masih mulai melihat menggunakan lebih banyak lagi digital dalam cyberspace learning ini, seperti itu.
Kalau dia di institusi, tentu SDM-nya diperbaiki. Nah, SDM-nya diperbaiki, tentu diberi pembelajaran. Tidak semua SDM atau pengguna, termasuk dosen, yang mengetahui penggunaannya kan. Jadi diberi pembelajaran, itu aja. Jadi dua sisi. SDM-nya diperbaiki, diberi pembelajaran. Hanya itu.
Iya, tadi sudah ada di slide juga ya Ibu, sangat baik sekali untuk penjelasannya. So, more trainings ya Bu, trainings related to the use of digital in the cyberspace. Apakah Pak Minggus mungkin bisa, apakah sudah menjawab pertanyaannya Pak Minggus dari Surabaya?
Apa kurang?
Ya, terima kasih sebagai
ya, mungkin bisa bertanya lagi kalau memang belum jelas atau sudah jelas Pak Minggus?
Ya, jadi prinsipnya kan materi yang disampaikan oleh Ibu Dameria itu kan bicara mengenai cyber learning. Nah, salah satu tantangan di cyber learning itu kan kalau bicara pengampu, para dosen itu rata-rata dari digital immigrant yang tidak terbiasa menggunakan perangkat teknologi. Nah, ini kan bisa menjadi kendala dalam proses pembelajaran, sementara peserta didik itu berangkat adalah atau identifikasinya sebagai digital native, lahir, besar, sudah terbiasa dengan perangkat teknologi.
Pasti sekali ya.
Nah, bagaimana mengatasi ini begitu kan, supaya digital immigrant ini betul-betul efektif ketika terlibat di dalam pembelajaran secara daring, begitu. Kalau solusinya kepada pembelajaran secara teknis, masalahnya bukan di sana begitu. Karena mereka berangkat dari budaya yang berbeda. Demikian, terima kasih.
So, Pak Minggu saya tambahin ya.
Ya, silahkan Bu.
Ya, memang kalau pembelajaran ini kan harus kedua sistem. Jadi kedua belah pihak. Jadi kalau di sana misalnya jaringan yang tidak bisa, seperti misalnya harus ada di suatu daerah yang harus dia manjat baru dapat sinyal, tentu tidak bisa terjadi pembelajaran melalui jaringan maya. Harus kedua belah pihak yang memberi pelajaran dengan terima. Jadi kalau di sana tidak pernah menggunakan, tentu ya tidak bisa. Jadi harus kedua belah pihak sehingga terjadi pembelajaran. Karena kan orangnya di mana aja, tapi kan seperti berada di dalam satu ruangan yang sama. Jadi kalau mereka tidak pernah menggunakan, ya tidak terjadi pembelajaran. Jadi harus kedua belah pihak, nggak bisa satu.
Oke.
Ya, bagaimana dengan cultural differences-nya Ibu Dameria? Tadi mungkin yang tadi seperti disampaikan
Ya.
oleh Pak Minggus, satunya lahir langsung berhadapan dengan semua serba digital. Sementara mungkin lecturers, mohon maaf ada yang dari senior seperti itu ya Pak Minggus ya.
Ya.
Culture-nya sedikit berbeda untuk menghadapi sesuatu yang digital. Seperti itu, bagaimana Ibu Dameria untuk solve the problems ini?
Contohnya
Seperti itu,
begini
Bu.
aja, Miss Angela. Saya kasih contoh ya. Misalnya
Ya.
orang tua kita itu seringkali bilang begini, opamu dulu itu kalau berangkat ke sekolah itu jalan kaki itu kuat. Naik sepeda nggak mau. Itu kan bukan persoalan sepedanya itu. Bukan persoalan
Iya,
dikasih
betul.
duit lalu selesai, kan enggak. Tapi culture-nya memang nggak mau begitu. Nah,
Iya.
ketika
Sama ya, Pak.
pelajaran daring ini masalahnya bagaimana?
Oh, itu kalau masalahnya di situ, ini Pak Mayor ya, sahabatku ya. Ini sahabatku nih, Ibu moderator.
Oh, begitu.
Ya, ini
Ya,
sahabatku
silakan, Bu.
nih.
Sekalian bernostalgia ya, Bu.
Mayor, terima kasih. Teman sama-sama di UNJ. Kalau itu kembali ke kalau budaya ya, gimana ya? Kalau orang tuanya sudah melarang, sedangkan kita zaman sekarang, apalagi zaman pandemi, zaman PSBB, zaman tidak bisa ketemu di kampus, tidak bisa ketemu di sekolah, ya agak susah ya. Itu kan kembali ke orang tuanya ya. Orang tuanya yang harus kita kasih tahu, memberi pelajaran pada orang tuanya, Bu, gini loh Bu, zaman sekarang begini, tidak bisa ke sekolah, jadi harus punya komputer, harus beli modem, harus beli ini, gitu. Nah, kalau ibunya belum mau juga, kita kasih lagi, sehingga budaya yang mereka pegang itu sudah bisa teratasi. Karena kalau budaya kan agak susah ya, kalau agak susah gimana ya, karena kan kembali ke orang tuanya. Kalau orang tuanya sekali nggak mau, 2-3 kali, ya mudah-mudahan mengerti. Nah, kalau sudah mengerti berarti terjadilah kedua belah pihak yang sama-sama bisa gitu loh, Bapakku, sahabatku.
Oke. Baik Ibu, terima kasih untuk penjelasannya. Semoga berkenan ya Pak Minggus dari Surabaya.
Ya,
Oke, so ya.
Mudah-mudahan sahabatku sudahlah ya.
So can be ya. Baik Bu. So can be with training, and if it relates to the culture, it can be a little bit different solution. Yeah, a little bit difficult because related to the culture. It depends on Ibu Dameria's answer. Ya Pak, oke baik. I think there are many questions in the chat box. Ada banyak Bapak Ibu pembicara pada sore hari ini. Ada 4 pembicara dan banyak sekali Bapak Ibu ya pertanyaan di chat box. Saya mohon berkenan untuk menjawab langsung di chat saja untuk pertanyaan yang belum sempat kita bahas. Dan kita akan bahas satu lagi pertanyaan from Juwito, mahasiswa MPD UKI untuk Bapak Witarsa. Menurut Bapak, bagaimana kepemimpinan Nadiem, terutama kebijakannya mengenai proses pembelajaran daring di Indonesia? So I will translate it. So how, to Bapak Witarsa's opinion, right now our minister is Pak Nadiem. What do you think about his rules related to online learning in Indonesia? Please, to Bapak Witarsa. Silakan Pak Witarsa menjawab satu pertanyaan dari Juwito.
Oke. Baik, terima kasih dari Juwito ya, Pak Juwito ya. Nah, baik. Jadi kalau ditanyakan kepemimpinan Makarim itu sesungguhnya dia termasuk orang yang mau menerima pendapat orang lain. Makanya dia masuk klasifikasi kepemimpinan behavioral. Nah, persoalannya sekarang, apakah kepemimpinan dia tepat untuk menangani COVID, pandemi ini, itu sudah kelihatan dia punya perhatian terhadap pandemi ini. Sebagaimana yang saya katakan tadi, dia mengeluarkan School Operational Assistance Fund can be used to pay for school. Jadi dana BOS itu bisa dialihkan asal untuk mengatasi pandemik 19. Jadi saya lihat dia sungguh punya perhatian. Yang pertama juga dia sebutkan bahwa di dalam COVID ini ya untuk penerimaan mahasiswa baru ya sekolah atau siswa itu diminta untuk mengikuti protokol kesehatan pencegahan COVID-19. Ya, jadi saya hanya ingin menjelaskan betapa Menteri Nadien itu punya perhatian dalam mengatasi COVID ya COVID-19 ini.
Ya, baik Pak. Terima kasih banyak untuk jawabannya. Baik Bapak Ibu sekalian, karena waktu yang sudah habis, saya pikir sesi kita akan berakhir di sini. Selanjutnya akan saya kembalikan kepada host. Thank you very much for all of the speakers.
Thank you very much for our moderator today, Ms. Angela Asri, and all of the speakers from Universitas Kristen Indonesia. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our today's session for session 1. Thank you very much for your participation. Don't forget to follow our social medias in order to get upcoming international programs. Instagram @uki.international, Facebook Office of International Affairs UKI, and YouTube International Office UKI. So thank you very much for all your participation. See you on the second session and see you on our upcoming programs. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sesi kedua.